man, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, December 11th, 2023, and I'm laughing at myself because of technology. You know, I have my opening sequence that I do for all of these live streams. I have a little countdown timer that is built into the program that I click on that, and it's supposed to count down. It starts at 30 seconds, and I hit the countdown timer and I let it get down to about 10 seconds left on the timer, and then I hit go live. And unfortunately, I did it backwards. I hit the go live and I was like, wait a minute, I'm out of sequence. And then I hit the button and it would not even start. So I hit it again and then it started and it was just a mess. So I just said, okay, be done with that. Go to the introduction video sequence. So that's what I did. You know, whenever you have these things going on with technology, and you think you've got it figured out, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a minute, I clicked the wrong button. So I know a little out of the ordinary for this show that I'm doing to have something go wrong, right? I know in the past we've had problems where the thing switches over to like Wi-Fi, you know, and it gets all slow and doesn't operate like it should. And so hopefully we get that out of our system early. I also point out I am wearing a ratty sweatshirt tonight. This is our old body shop logo. See if I can point at that without. Oh, okay. I'm making a mess of this. Here we go. I'm looking at the camera trying to point. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. This is the old body shop logo. This shirt has seen a lot. This has seen a lot of things, you know, but hey, it's an old ratty shirt, and that's fine. That's fine. That's what you need for being out in a garage. I never wear any high dollar fancy clothes because I'm going to end up messing them up and causing damage to them anyway. But you know, it's funny. This collar is all stretched out, and it's just just one of those old sweatshirts you get used to. You know, you like these old clothes that you've had for a long time. So anyway, I hope everybody's doing well tonight. I have a couple things I want to talk about later on, so we'll be bringing that up, and I want to see get some opinions on some ideas that I have. So, and it's nothing dramatic, it's just some tools and stuff that I want to talk about. But anyway, it is again December 11th 2023, and let's see who's here tonight. And first in early on is Ed Cucciarella. So Ed gets the early bird double bell there. And if you're new to the stream, you get a bell for participating. I encourage you to ask questions or bring up subjects that you want to talk about, any ideas, anything like that. Sometimes we go off on different tangents, talk about food, might talk about movies. But anyway, we're here to talk about classic cars and the influence they have on all of us, right? So, second up is Rick Stevenson. Glad you're here, Rick. Hope all is well with you. Terry Keithley. Good evening, everyone. I'm Barry. Please hit the thumbs up and like button. Thank you kindly. Oh, Barry, your 2 Christmas gifts will be arriving next week. And I guess it's a cat logo and washing hands, I guess. It says meow and wash hands. So glad you're here, Terry. Steve Grimes is checking in. Good evening, everyone, from cold southern PA. Yeah, today was one of those days here. Over the weekend, we actually had temperatures close to 70 degrees. Now, it was raining, but it was still like 70 degrees. And that was beneficial because I had to work on somebody's car that had some front end damage. They needed it looked at, so I did some investigative work on that car for them. And I was able to roll it in. I took the blankets off the door and was able to roll it in. And I just haven't gotten the blankets back up yet, but it is definitely cold today. I think, I don't know where we're at, somewhere around 40 degrees, something like that. Let me look quick. 43. Along with that, our power went out last night. Yeah, at like 9 o'clock. So that was exciting as well. Glad you're here, Steve. Dave Tyson. Good evening, all. Good evening, Dave. That's our first Dave sighting. Glad you're here, Dave. Derek Pro from the land down under. Hi, Barry, everyone. Hope all is well. Can't believe the year is nearly over. So much has happened. So did you use those frame extensions in the end? It looked like you made them fit. I did not. I gave up on them. Not going to use those frame connectors. It seemed like a good idea, and I'm sure it may have worked on some other cars. I don't know. But I really got tired of cutting and cutting and cutting, and pretty soon you have nothing left. And I can't justify putting them on the car now. So just not happy with those at all. And I'll probably won't put any on at this point. Just won't. It's not going to make much difference because it's not going to be raced or anything like that. So we'll just do away with those. So glad you're here, Derek. If I didn't know to give you a bell. Mr. Mikey, 1949. Good evening to all from a sunny and cool 65 degrees of South San Antonio today. That actually sounds really nice. Really nice. I'm all for those temperatures. Orange Crate. Howdy, folks. Beautiful evening in Houston. Glad you're here. Appreciate you. Hindsight 67. Roger checking in. Greetings from next door. Glad you're here, Raj. Nandu. Good evening, Barry, and everyone. Barry, did the company that made the frame connectors reach out to you? No, they did not. I really don't expect them to. I have a feeling, well, I saw other people comment in other areas, whatever, that they had bought some connectors for another type of vehicle from that company, and they ended up having to cut them all up to try to make them work. They were not happy with it. I don't know what kind of feedback they've gotten from that design. I really don't understand the why it's made to hang below the frame rail. Free space doesn't help you at all. I don't understand why it's made that way. There's room for improvement for sure, but no, they have not reached out to me. But glad you're here, Nandu. Dawn's Manufactory. Hello, everyone from Wet Cool PDX. I'm guessing still maybe Wet Cool PDX. I hope it's not STD. Wet Cool PDX. Nick Moss is checking in. Hello, Nick. Glad you're here. And Dawn says, Betsy's still on stands, waiting for leaf springs. Well, I know. Just, that's the way it is. Let's see. Robert. Evening all. Finally recovered from crawling around the attic for 5 hours. Well, that's good to hear. Bob Shoemaker, good evening. Good evening for Mid-50s Oklahoma. Nice screw and rear tire of Weissman was a project for today. That's no fun. And Nick was commenting. He says, "Why would you do that to your wife, man? Not cool." I would hope it wasn't intentional. Bob Shoemaker, nice and flat. She wasn't going anywhere. Saves on all that Christmas shopping, right? No, because Amazon's right on the other end of your computer, ready to go. Dawn says I'd be worried what screw I could get in return. Okay. Nick says screwed up is what you would get in return. And Robert says no comment, Bob. I read that differently. Okay. Let's move on. Dawn, hate it when ads cover my typing. I'm sorry, Dawn. I'm sorry for that. And Nick says the sequence wasn't scored. Dave Conville says good evening. Good evening, Dave. That's our second Dave sighting. And I saw a video that Dave posted. It was pretty funny. It was guys trying to start a Model A by cranking it, by a hand crank, and apparently he didn't follow the protocol, and it was in gear, and he had his leg over the bumper, and he cranked it, and it was in reverse, thankfully, and it started pulling away from him, and in the background his wife is filming it, she's screaming, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Just don't do that. Don't do that. Ray Buckman, hey there, Barry and everyone. Hope you all had a great week. Thank you, Ray. Likewise. Nick, Barry's neck used to be bigger, I guess. Yeah. Well, that was probably from all the stress of having, to deal with people directly. Or maybe my business partner, maybe that was part of it, like, hold yourself back. Yeah. Stuff wears out. Rusty, hello Barry and all from Southern Indiana. Thumbs up for Barry. Like the true struggle video. Yeah, that was unfortunately a true struggle. And most of the time I don't give up on stuff. I don't. I mean, I'll figure out a way to solve that problem. But as we all know, sometimes it's just not worth the effort. You sit there and you modify things and fix things or change a design and blah, 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 blah. Next thing you know, you could have made it yourself with some scraps you had laying on the side of the garage. So yeah, I was very frustrated with that thing. Evan's Garage, hey Barry and all, got my seat risers laying flat and one welded in. Well, that's a positive. That's a good thing. Nick, I went and looked at the pics of those frame connectors on the website and they left that gap in the rear with a, I guess, goofball unfinished design. I agree with that. It doesn't make sense. A cavity does not add strength or anything. And it seems like that you could have, like I was talking about, they could have made it so that it was shaped to that curve and it would have just pocketed up over it. That would have made sense to me. But the combination of everything else not fitting from the midsection back just makes it too complicated. Too complicated. So you're right. It is a goofball design. And I see the goof there. Al Buckle, hello from Ontario, Canada. It's 34 degrees here. Well, that must be in Fahrenheit. Because if it was Celsius, it'd be really toasty. But glad you're here, Al. Troy Justin, Monday greetings from coastal Georgia. Got bourbon, got Barry. Let's get this party started. Oh, yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Shannon Vaughn. Hi, all. Great to be here. Glad to hear Shannon. And Nick says, you Rodney Dangerfield, your caller? Yeah, that's a good chance of that. Why I oughta... No respect. That's what I'm telling you. Okay. Well, as you all saw in that previous video, I assume everybody has seen that video. The struggle was real. And even comparing it to the original car, I had somebody ask me, well, maybe the floor pan is sagging in the middle. Well, it's on a jig, first of all, and it is a dynacorn floor pan. So yes, there's a possibility it could be off, but the possibility of an original car having the same sag, no, there's no sag there. Then there was somebody else had mentioned about they thought the blue post was in the way, and it's not. It fits the same width as the leaf springs. So there's no problem there. I think it's just a really odd design. And like I said, the front, I like it. I really did. But the back was just too far off and going to be a struggle. So I'm just not going to do it. The next thing I will do though is finally get these quarter panels on and get the tail panel buttoned up and all that sort of thing. That's on the to-do list, let's say, next. And also there's a lot of grinding that has to happen. I know everybody likes to see that. They want to see a time lapse of me grinding hundreds of welds. That would be so much fun. Look, it's another one, and another one, and another one. So I don't know if I'll film all that or not, but you get the idea. I also wanted to point out, I've mentioned before I get these collaboration ideas or prospects that companies, they see my viewership or the subscriber count or whatever it is, and they want to reach out to me and offer me, a product or item to demonstrate on my channel. Now, there are times where I will do that. It could be these jump starters. It's got to be car related. And I get so many of these goofy things. I've had stuff for silverware, like really. I've had recently some sort of infrared neck heater thing, infrared blanket. I don't know, just all kinds of goofy stuff. But the one I got today was for a bird feeder with a camera in it, and their statement said, your videos align perfectly with our product, and we like your way you do things. And I'm like, you've never seen one of my videos. So I just pretty much ignore those. The point being, too, I don't want to put junk like that on here. I want it to be car related. And secondly, if you're trying to get me to do a video for anything that is a $30 product, no, I am not interested in putting in any effort to make a product video for something that's $30 that you're just going to give to me. You know, I could put hours into that effort, and my viewers don't want to watch that stuff. So it's just not worth the time. Other things like welders and equipment, stuff like that, sure, that's good stuff to have. So Ray Buckman says, LOL, grinding makes a great video. It just might. Don says, I think those connectors were trying to add stiffness without losing too much ground clearance. Well, that is exactly what they were trying to do. But the way they pulled it off just didn't make sense. That whole back section doesn't make sense to me. It should at least fit, if you have a hole for the leaf spring mount, that thing should at least fit that. I shouldn't have to cut off inches of material to get that part to fit. It just doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. Greg's Workshop is checking in from Australia. Glad you're here, Greg. Hi, Barry. I'm back on my show now. Cool. Greg does some really interesting stuff on his channel. If you haven't seen it, give it a look. See what he's doing. He's a great fabricator. And stuff he builds is pretty cool. So have him get a look, if you want to see what Greg's up to. Troy Justin, it's big no on the grinding. If I want to watch that, I will go out to my garage, do show the quarters and back end assembly. Well, yeah, I will do all that. Definitely, Troy. Rusty, grinding on time lapse to the right music is okay. Well, yeah. Nick, for all that's holy, could you do some time lapse and after doing a bunch of hammering, breathe in and out like Blinken from Robin Hood, Men in Tights, when he's chopping at the tree? I need this man. I'd have to see that scene to make sure I know what you're talking about. But yeah, heavy breathing. Yeah. Kind of like Chevy Chase in Christmas Vacation, where he gets the envelope and he's like, my wife laughs at that every time. That's how I felt about those frame connectors. Just, yeah. Dave Tyson saw the bird feeder. Yeah. I don't get it. I don't know. Evans, you've made it when big bird feeder wants to work with you. Yeah. That's when you're on top of the game. Greg's Workshop, Barry, the car is looking good. Thank you, Greg. Let's see, 67 Mustang Coupe Restoration. You could market a welding snuggie. Yeah, that would be, yeah, I could see that. Jefferson Miller, great to see you, Barry. Champagne Gold Mach 1 in the thumbnail picture for tonight's stream. My project car. Actually, that's not Champagne Gold. That's not Champagne Gold. I've been looking at different colors and trying to do different cars for my thumbnails, right? So I did the jade green one before. I've done I don't know if I've done a blue one before. I've been looking at different ones just to see, to make it more interesting. But I did jade last week as a car. But that car, that is not champagne. It is not champagne gold. So everybody has to guess at what that color is and let me know what you think it is. But I know what it is, or what it's labeled as. Let's put it that way. Richard Vogel, good evening, Barry. I hope you're feeling better. Thank you. I am feeling better. I still have I was coughing earlier, so just a little bit of a dry cough going on. Um, so I'm way better than I was over the last week or 2 weeks. Terry Keithley says, thank you, Barry. I really like my Arc Captain MIG and TIG welders. Awesome. And I'll point this out too. What I've started doing now is putting more product information in my descriptions. So if you look at, go underneath the window of the main video and you look at the description, you can click on show more, and it brings up all of the things that I think all of them that I have discounts for, whether it's Evolution Power Tools or Arc Captain or whatever. There's all kinds of links there. So I've been starting to do that and try to put up more information on the description for the videos. So, but thank you for that, Terry. Al Buckle, no issues for parts that don't fit. I'm pulling long headers off of Mach 1 and going back to I guess, all stock manifolds. Okay. The headers that I put on Jade, I was amazed at how well they fit. And I'll probably go with the same setup on my Mach 1 when I get to that point. The headers I had ordered were from Summit, but they were made by Patriot. And I didn't have to do anything to those. They fit right on the car. So I would recommend those headers because I know they fit for what I was doing. So Nick says exactly then it will be in time lapse. Okay. Robert, speaking of Christmas Vacation, everyone make sure to watch it every year. It is the only 100% accurate Christmas movie ever made. Yeah, I think I'd go with that's pretty. Yeah. I think I've already watched it twice over the last couple weeks. Yeah. Jefferson Miller says close enough. For the car color. Nick, pass the Tylenol, or where's the Tylenol? Where's the Tylenol? Jack W. Good evening, Barry. Good evening, Jack. Haven't seen you in a while. Derek Pro, the cough that will last for months. We've been through that here. The cold weather prolongs it. Have a whiskey. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea at all. Ray Buckman, Aztec Aqua Blue looks like another green. Yeah, it's definitely not Aztec Aqua Blue, but you're getting there. Michael Pagliarini, hello all, grinding to the oldies, Iron Maiden. Oh, there you go. Nothing wrong with that. See, that's the advantage whenever I'm doing like the time-lapse sequences. I know it makes it better for everybody to watch the video, because they can see what's going on and it's not taking an extended period of time. And for me, it works because I can have the radio on while I'm doing time-lapse because it doesn't record that. So I can listen to AC/DC or whatever, and have that going while I'm doing all the welding and grinding or whatever, and it doesn't record that. And then when I do the time-lapse segment on the video, then I add different, music on top of it. So, Marshall Overacre, howdy folks, glad to hear your. Oh wait a minute, he's got glad. Okay, I'm guessing it's gonna be glad you're feeling better, but glad you're here, Marshall. Al Buckle, time for a Black Jade 69 Mach as a thumbnail. That was 2 weeks ago. I did that one 2 weeks ago on the live stream. So I have to go with a different color now. Nick, hey, does anyone need a TKO 600 for the Mustang? I will sell it cheap if you can pick it up. I got a TKX for Christmas. People love me too much. I'll sell it with a QuickTime bell housing too. That sounds appealing. But I don't know that I'm going to go with a stick. I'm going to leave my Mach 1 as automatic. But, that could work in my other 68 that I'm wanting to build. That could work in the other 68. But I have no idea what those cost or what they cost. So I have no idea. So if anybody's interested, leave a message or something. Doyle, do you know how much longer before you get slither off the frame jig? Um, that's a good question. There's, there's, I've got to get. It could come off right now. Actually, it could, but I'm not going to. I've got to finish. I want to get the quarters on, and the value there is it sits up nice and high, so I can work on it and get to it and put everything in place. So once I get the back section done, I'm going to go back to the front end and finish putting on the aprons. And I've got to get the strut rod supports welded in underneath to the frame rail and the core support. And then we have to make some decisions as to what we're doing for suspension stuff. Now, well, I say that. There's another decision we have to make, and that is with the rotisserie. So I need to get the rotisserie. Once I get the rotisserie, then I'll take it off of the jig, because I want to prep the underside of the car and spray the floor pan, all that stuff. And it's going to have to be on the rotisserie for that to happen. So I'm not really, I'll be honest, I'm not really very active this last couple weeks, and I don't know how active I'm going to be over the next couple weeks, as we have holidays and get-togethers and family stuff. There's a lot going on, as we all know. But I want to try to get at least one, if not both, of the quarter panels on within the next couple weeks. And once all that's done, again, I'll go to the front, finish welding up that stuff, and then I plan to make a trip down to Florida to get the rotisserie and to deliver the Cleveland motor that I sold. So, combination of things there. But that's a good question. I don't have a great answer, but it's a good question. Nick, it's certainly will vary, and it's already set up for a GM Silver Sport hydraulic clutch setup. If I only knew what that meant. I don't know. But thank you, Nick. Marshall, speaking of headers, don't try the $100 flea bay version. It might look like they fit, and they do, but you can't turn your steering wheel anymore. Made the best of them, and they're now my mailbox post. Well, that'll work. Sorry. Let's see. Ray, rotisserie will definitely make it easier to get all the areas that need finalizing. Yes, that is going to be so important to do that. And for years I don't know, I haven't pushed to get a rotisserie, but for this car, and wanting to get the underside all done, it only makes sense to get it on a rotisserie and do it right. So that's what I'll be doing. Oh, Jeff, super sticker, awesome. That'll go towards holiday festivities for sure. Yes. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate you. I really do. Really, really do. Derek, sorry, guys, got to go already. Work again. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you, Barry, and the family, and to everyone here. All the best. See you guys. Glad you're here, Derek. Appreciate you. Troy, what's on the back burner when you're done with Slither, your CJ Camaro, or other? My thoughts are, I want to get the Camaro done. I want to get it done and get it out of here. I have a lot of people that are wanting to send me their Mustangs and get them done. Get sheet metal work done. I've had several. I get it all the time. People want me to do this work. And that's fine. But I also have to be kind of responsible in some ways. And I want to get the Camaro done and sell it and get it out of here. It's just killing me to have it not be finished. So I want to get the Camaro done. And then I'll decide on what my approach is going to be next. Because I do want to build the 67 Fastback. I'm not in a hurry necessarily to get my Mach 1 completed, but I can use, like if I get the Camaro done and I sell it, I can use some of that money to help build the Mach 1, right? And then same way with the 67, depending on how far I go with it, I really want to make that. I would like to get started on it and maybe have somebody interested in doing something like this to where it gets, I don't want to put mini tubs in it unless somebody wants them. But if somebody decides they're interested in the car, maybe I can do some of that work, mini tub it up or modifications that they may want. So that's kind of where my mindset is right now. I want to get the Camaro done and out of here. Yeah. And that may be, depending on how far I go with this. Like, I'm debating on painting it. I really am. I'm debating on painting it. She has had some crazy quotes for paint, and we all know that it is what it is. These shops are charging ridiculous amounts of money, and I don't want her to be taken advantage of, and I don't know how that's going to work if I decide to paint it, because if I do paint it, I'm not putting the car together. I'm not putting in the glass or the interior. I'm not doing the engine. I'm not doing the wire. I'm not doing anything like that. So if it gets to the point of paint, then we'll see if that happens or not. And for that to happen here, I have to have good weather. I can't do it when it's cold. It's got to be like the Bronco. I had to wait a little while and get temperatures in the 70s, 75 range. And that's ideal for painting here in my shop. So, yeah, that's an option that I'm considering at this point. So there's still a lot to do overall. Rusty, a tip on the rotisserie: make sure you tighten the Allen bolts. I almost lost my Mustang. Okay, well, I guess tighten all the bolts really. I don't know which ones are Allen bolts or which ones you're referring to, but. Yeah, I'll take your word for that. Thank you, Rusty. Nick, take care, Derek. Merry Christmas. And Ray Buckman says, Merry Christmas, Derek. Nick, my uncle dropped mine on a rotisserie. Haha, I'm super glad it was already braced up with connectors, roll bar, and extra bracing. Yeah, that would be bad. Dawn, and Red Dave needs a coupe to fastback conversion. Well, that's actually, Red Dave is gone. I sold Red Dave to a gentleman in Florida, so Red Dave is no longer here. But that was a 68. The 67 is still outside waiting. So, and after looking at that, I'm realizing I'm going to have to do. Well, I already knew there was a bunch of sheet metal that's going to have to be replaced anyway. But just seeing some of the butcher work that was done to it just kills me. Just kills me. Nick says paint nowadays is ridiculous. I just don't understand it, and I know it's a lot of work. Yeah, it is, and that's one of the things I wanted to bring up to the group. I saw a video today that was mentioning or demonstrating an LVLP spray gun. Okay, so the guns that I've been using are HVLP, high volume, low pressure. High volume is the amount of fluid that you're spraying, right? These other guns, they're called LVLP. I have never researched those other than this video that I saw. So if somebody has messed with an LVLP gun or knows anything about it, give me some information on that. I'm interested in the idea because when I spray here, even with my fans blowing, I end up with a lot. You see it in my videos, it's cloudy, and it takes it a while to get all that out of there. That's a lot of material. That's a lot of stuff going out the window, let's say. If I had an LVLP, if it works like it says, then maybe that'll help with the flow, like less material being in the air. But I need some input. I don't know for sure. Dragon Tomic. And I may be saying that wrong because it's Dragan, so it may be Dragon. I don't know. And I don't know where you're from, but welcome. I don't know how to say it. I'm going to say Dragon. How about that? I'll be different. Ray Buckman. Body shops charge a lot. I watched a recent video on double charging for almost everything. Yeah, I think I saw that too. It was, the guy has a TV show. I don't know. Maybe you shared it with me. Somebody shared a video with me of that. What's his name? Justifying the cost of what they were doing to the cars. So yeah. Evan, now you guys got me nervous as I consider if I rotisserie or not. They do fine. You just have to make sure everything's tight. I'm guessing Dragon. I don't know. Tomic says, how are you? I'm good. Robert, LVLP has been around a long time. Have not used one, but looked at them and gagged at the prices. Well, I looked at an LVLP Drizzle company name. It was like a Drizzle was the name of the gun or something. And like on Amazon, it was $109 with multiple tips, a filter, and a pressure gauge. So I don't know. I know the last gun I bought was about $250, and it had multiple tips, and it worked great. I used that gun when I sprayed the Bronco, and it came out fantastic. So I'm interested. I'm probably going to end up buying the LVLP, at least maybe that one off Amazon, just to try it and see what it does. Greg's Workshop. Hi, everyone. Have a Merry Christmas. You too, Greg. Glad you were here. Nick, you're good, Evan. My unc is just a real-life Mr. Magoo and put the wrench on the wrong bolt. Okay. Dawn says, oh, heck, use a brush. No overspray. That is true. That is true. And that is what the Mennonites do. We have, up in Pennsylvania, we have Mennonites. There's Amish and there's Mennonites. And the Mennonites are similar to the Amish. Very similar. But they use cars. And the cars cannot be flashy at all. So when they get a car, they'll get a used car, beat up, and they basically just get out a brush and paint, and they paint over all the chrome. They don't want any flashy chrome, so everything gets painted black. That's it. So yeah, that's a good way to cut down on overspray. Al Buckle, I use a R500 LVLP, sprayed very well, but I'm a beginner. Okay. Well, see, that's kind of what I want to, the information I'm looking for. Lynn says, hello, happy holidays, everybody. Happy holidays, Lynn. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. All that stuff. I won't go into the Chevy Chase Griswold line. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Okay. Doyle, I find myself as I watch people doing sheet metal work getting anxious and wanting to help. Even your projects. Do you guys feel that too? I don't end up watching a lot of other people's videos like that. And I think a lot of times I look at it and in my mind I'm going, if you just did that, you wouldn't have more problems. You would have less, it would be a lot less difficult. Ed Cucciarella, step up, use a roller. Yes. Yeah. Evan's Garage Door, you watch me weld. I could use all the help I can get. Ray, so I had a question. Did they paint the underside of the 6970 Mustangs with red oxide as a finish color? I don't know for sure. I really don't. There's a video that I shared with somebody who was asking me questions, and it's a video that Charles had shared with me, and it's the guy Hensley or Heasley or something like that. He's some sort of Mustang guru, and he was demonstrating on a 68 fastback, I think, how they put on sealer and how they put on, made the whatever they sprayed on. And he was mimicking that with modern chemicals and stuff. And I'd have to go back and look at that video to see if it shows or he talks about the time period. I'm sure there's information out there, but I really doubt. I don't know. They may have done red oxide and then oversprayed, the color onto the bottom of it, but I don't know for sure. and that is some stuff I need to get verified as well. So good question. Nick says, I saw Mennonite for the first time years back and got out of a truck just roaring Nickelback. I was like, man, the Amish really like Nickelback. When I was told what a Mennonite was. Yes, they're different. Steve Fair, when can I drop off my car? Love your work. Keep up the great work. Wish I had a quarter of your skills. Thank you, Steve. I have no room at the garage for any more cars. Let's see. Robert, Ford used leftover paint for the bottoms of the cars, so no telling what color they were using that day. That's yeah, good point. Nick took the wind out of my sails. I thought for sure the Amish were a conspiracy up until that. No, they are a real group of people. Yep, and the Mennonites, and then there's some other one. Can't remember what the other one is. It's similar to it. Rusty, I put a paint booth sealed blower in my homemade paint booth. It's almost too much pressure. Had to build an extra few inlets to try to balance the pressure. It was pulling my walls in. Yes. And that's the thing for me. I get good flow, but you have to have heat. You can't just have flow. You have to have both. You have to have heat and airflow for everything to work properly. I think Don did a video on that. He was talking about, I'm pretty sure Don did. He was talking about having X number of CFM flowing out of the booth, but you also have to have it flowing in the booth so that it moves and the chemicals evaporate, basically. So there's a lot to it other than just having a fan running. I had somebody ask me, it was on, might have been on Facebook or something. They were asking me about putting a heater in their paint booth or in their garage to act as, a paint booth. And I said, well, that's risky because, you need to have airflow first. You back that up with heated air to make everything work properly. If you just have a heater in a paint booth or an enclosed garage with no evacuation system of air movement, you got a ticking time bomb, in my opinion. That stuff can just sit there and just keep clouding up, and that fan, who knows if there's some little spark or something generated by the fan or whatever, boom, you might blow out all the windows in your paint booth or your garage or your house. So got to be careful with all that stuff. Al, I'm 57, but did my first patch panel this year. Never too late to learn. Your videos help very much. Thank you. Well, awesome, Al. That's good to know. Mr. Mikey, my 67 coupe was finished on the underside with RO, only no color. I don't know what RO is. I don't know what that was meant to say. Shannon, my 69 Mach had slop gray underneath. Yeah. Well, I know that Charles had bought a lot of materials to apply to the bottom of the car and the interior of the car, and I will be using all that stuff, just like that guy in that video. I'd have to go back and try to find it. Let me see if I can I have I keep a playlist of certain videos that I want to save for myself, and I have to see where that playlist is because I don't know what the guy's name was. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I don't even know where it's at. I've probably hidden it for myself. Man, it's like the guy's name is Heasley or something. I don't remember. Oh, wait a minute. No, never mind. I don't know where it's at. Sorry. Mr. Mike says he bought it new. Okay. Well, that's some good information there. But I don't know what that color. Oh, red oxide. Okay, sorry. So Nick brought it up. RO is red oxide. Duh. Thank you, Nick. So Mr. Mikey, my 67 coupe was finished on the other side with red oxide only, no color. So I assume that it probably had some overspray of the factory color, had to get in there somewhere. So I know there's a lot of people that want to, I say a lot, some people want to replicate all of that and make the overspray look like this and that and the other. I'm really not into that too much. I'd rather just make sure everything is treated and covered than to be worried about having it look like some guy in 67 sprayed it and got overspray on stuff. Nick says, Don, legitimately, I would like to know, are you an engineer by trade? You're just too dang smart, man. That's a great question, Nick. I think Don has a lifetime of experience. That's my guess. I won't say he's not an engineer. I'm just saying he has a lifetime of experience. Because I know in some of his videos he talked about working at a repair shop or working here and working there, and that is invaluable. David Nemo. Hi, Barry. I really enjoy your work on the 69 Mach 1. I hope that you and the owner agree to keep the original black jade. My 69 GT is the same color. That's debatable. I mean, it's likely it's going to end up the same color. Black jade, likely. But we haven't gotten to that point yet. And there was Nick said red oxide, and Mr. Mikey said red oxide as well. Yes. Lynn, heat in a paint booth, wouldn't the paint fumes splash over and toast everything? Yeah, and that's what I was trying to say. Like, he was talking about heating his garage, and that's, like, for me, I have my mini split up on the wall in the main garage. I have a door to the paint booth, and I have two filtered air vents in the wall at the base, and then the two fans pulling out. So I could actually shut the door if I wanted to the paint booth and just have it pull through those filters, but I still have to open up the front door. And because if I don't, I've had that booth, it's just two little fans blowing out, pull from under the wall, pull dirt in from under the outside wall because it's not fully sealed there. And yeah, you don't want to put a fan in a paint booth. I mean, a heater. That's for sure. Stefan Therm. Hello, everyone. Hello, Stefan. Welcome to the show. Dawn says yes and no to Nick's question. Michael Hoffman. Hello. Currently in Hong Kong. Okay. Well, that's interesting. So, hey, my videos are being watched in China. Well, Republic. No, Hong Kong. Sorry. I was thinking Taiwan. Hong Kong. That's interesting. Tell all your friends. Nick Moss. Lynn, only if you don't send them out of the booth like a jet engine. Airflow. Gotta have airflow. Nick says to Tom, what does that mean? Yes and no. Janitor in an engineer office. Are you a Matt Damon? I'm telling you, he's got a lot of experience. That's, I would not consider myself to be an engineer, but I can fabricate, design, and build things and have an understanding of it. So I didn't go to school for any of that stuff. And Don, I'm going to say, has a lot of experience. It's probably for the most part. Doyle, the LVLP DV1 by Innocraft, is that the gun you were talking about? They say it has less overspray and uses less product. Yeah, it's the Innocraft, I think is the name of the company. I think it's the Drizzle, I think is what I looked it up. Let me see if I have a picture of it. Yeah, Innocraft is the company, and it's the Drizzle D1 LVLP. So yeah, that's it. I'm willing to give it a shot. I want to see what it does. Shannon Vaughn, you would need to know which plant it was built as to know if slot paint was used or red oxide. That's a good thing to know. I mean, this, I'd have to look it up again. I know I have information on it, where it was built. I thought it was in New Jersey. I thought. I could be wrong. Let me see if I have. I know I had a image of it. Somebody had. Let me see if I have that. Of the Marty report. I don't know where it's at. Oh yeah, here we go. Oh, this was built at San Jose. This car was built at San Jose. So I don't know what they sprayed at San Jose, but maybe we can find that out. Rusty, the suction from my paint booth sucked the air from the adjoining room that was a wood stove. It sucked all the air all the way from my flue backwards and filled my garage full of smoke. Yeah, don't do that. That's not the way to do that. That is not the way to do that. I'm sure that was fun. Ray Buchan, I think you're talking about Jerry Heasley. Yeah, that's it. Jerry Heasley does a lot of the type of work that you do, Barry. Yes. He's apparently a lot more well-known than I am. But he has a video out talking about doing the undercoat and the sealant and all that sort of thing. And it's got some good information. I didn't like his approach. Like, I'm sure he's got the knowledge and skills, and no doubt about that. But I was watching him put like seam sealer on different parts of the car, and I was so irritated because he was using his bare hands. I can't stress it enough. Avoid getting chemicals anywhere in you. You know, even if you're changing oil, whatever you're doing, put some gloves on. Like I've had somebody say, well, you know, they can't do this, it won't hurt you. I said, well, would you put that same stuff in your eye? Because if you put it in your eye and you're comfortable with that, well, you're doing the same thing, getting it on your hands and everywhere else. And yeah, so he was like smearing that stuff all over with his index finger, and I was like, no. And then he's got some sort of chemical on a rag, and he's trying to clean it off, and I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Don, Betsy was dipped in red oxide. Even the cowl had paint inside. Now that's unique. That is unique. So you're ahead on that one. Stefan, I have a question for anyone that can answer. I have removed the passenger side rocker panel of my 69 Mach 1 due to an old accident, and I'm also getting ready to remove the entire floor. Am I correct in installing some brake connectors to maintain rigidity and structure before pulling off the floor? And he says, will that maintain dimensions? Okay. So you said you've already removed the passenger side rocker panel. So the first part of that question is, did you just remove the outer rocker panel or the inner and the outer? That's part one. Part two, when you're talking about removing the entire floor, are you talking about everything like this car where everything was out? Or are you talking about the floor pan, the midsection, where the seats sit and just in the back, not the transition panel, just the floor pan itself? So that's part two. And part three, installing some brake connectors to maintain rigidity and structure before pulling off the floor. I guess part three of that, subpart two, is if you're removing the floor pan, first question of that is why you're removing the floor pan. Is there rust? Is there something going on? So part two of that, or part three in the situation, is what condition are the floor supports in? Typically, you've got a problem with rust. You've got the floor pan, floor support, different things like that. Or is there something from an accident that you're trying to replace? So there's just a few more inputs on that. The thing is, the Mach 1, the shell of the car is going to hold everything in place. Unless you're doing something crazy like you're trying to jack up one corner while everything is off of it, it's going to maintain the shape. What you could do, if you wanted to, is add, like I did on the when I took the Cobra Jet apart, the original car, I put in 1-inch square tubing in multiple directions and created a grid system inside the car to keep it from moving around. The difficulty with that is you can't put a floor pan in necessarily from the top, which is where it has to come in, unless you have an access to it. So answer those questions for me, and we'll go a little further into that. Nick says he's politely calling you old, Don. Send him a turd in the mail. Don't stand for that. I'm old too, Nick. I'm old too. Yeah. And Don says experience. Yes. Every time I wanted to learn something, I got a job at a company that did that. See, there you go. I was right. Jerry, howdy Barry, howdy y'all. Just wanted to say hi from 30,000 feet. Oof, I probably shouldn't be on my phone right now. Gotta go. Well, I'm glad you checked in from 30,000 feet. All right, Bob, my friend customer did big trucks and he used infrared heaters, so the metal was up temperature, top of your head felt the heat. Interesting. I don't know if I gave you a thumbs up or a bell yet, Bob, but you can get an extra bell. Orange Crate. My 68 was built in San Jose, red oxide. Okay, thank you for that. Stefan. Oh, and the upper and lower cowls are also out, so the passenger side roof pillar is not attached. Well, that makes it a little more complicated. A little more complicated. If nothing is moved, you're going to have to add some stiffness bracing in there somewhere. Passenger side roof pillar is not attached. So the A-pillar, you talking about, whoops, let me rotate here. So the A-pillar here is not attached in the windshield frame. Is that out of it? Is that what you're telling me? Because I hate to, I'm trying to visualize it all. Usually when I try to do something like what you're doing, I'll remove a section or piece at a time. So if I was going to do the rocker panel, I'd just do the rocker panel, get it done. If the inner rocker's fine, do the outer, get it in place. And then what I've done in the past, I know you're maybe a little, I don't know how your floor supports are. Like I've replaced floor supports before I've done floor pans, just because I wanted it in the right place. So, but there are times where I've done the floor pan, taking it out, and done the floor support while it was out. So, if you have stuff disconnected, I'm a little concerned with where your measurements are right now, and whether you probably should have had something in place before taking all that loose. So, more information is better. Nick says, that's pretty cool, Don. Great way to go about it. Honestly, yes. Michael, yeah, it's China selling out to get back to the ranch in Northern California, right in the middle of it. 4 projects. But watch your garage work to keep me sane as possible. That's good. That is good. So yeah, he's in China, selling out to get back to the ranch in North California, right in the middle of 4 projects. Okay. Nick, I learned a lot when I did machining at Stroco and my other jobs. Nothing like hands-on experience, honestly. Yes. Evan's Garage. Stefan, I'm sure the others will chime in, but I don't think I'd attempt rocker removal without a jig. I was concerned enough just doing torque boxes and floor. Robert, my 66 was a Dearborn car with the bottom painted black. It was not dipped. Okay. Lynn, my 67 had a red coating underneath, and it was built in San Jose. That's good to hear. Rick, Jerry Hazley is not always right in his videos. He argued with me claiming that a car my father owned in 69 never existed. Yeah. I'm just saying some of the information I've watched is good. Ray Buckman, I watched a few of his videos, but yeah, I understand. Don, I'm a recording engineer, worked at electronics company, auto repair, Cadillac zone, construction fasteners, teacher. See? Experience. Shannon, I ordered the Marty report today. It should have the info on where it was built. Yep. Nick, Dearborn was gray primer, and the other two were red oxide, according to the concourse dudes I've talked to. Okay. Good to know. Dave Tyson, I know an old painter used a hot plate to heat up paint before painting. Okay. I've never heard of that, but that may work. Terry Keithley, Jerry may be well known, but he doesn't have junkyard stories like Barry does. Brian, hello all. I believe Robert is correct. Ford mixed leftover batches of paint to spray undersides where paint was needed. Thank you, Brian. Glad you're here. Stefan, both inner and outer rockers are out. Entire floor coming out, replacing for a one-piece floor. Floor was poorly patched in areas due to rust. Okay. And I'm trying to make sure we're on the same page. So when you say entire one-piece floor, are you talking the whole thing to the back of the car, frame rails and all, transition panel, all this like I did on this car? Or again, just the inner area where it's inside the car? Michael, Stefan Thurm, start with a tape measure and see if it's straight to begin with, then do what Barry says. Thank you. Evans Garage, yes, always do what Barry says. Well, I don't know about always, but I try to be as helpful as I can. Orange Crate, when I was an aircraft mechanic in service 30 years ago, guys would clean parts and their hands with Freon. I avoided that practice. Yeah. Well, see, my dad used to make me clean greasy parts with gas as a kid, because all kids like gas on their hands, burning, It was all leaded gas. It was all good for us. Me and my brother. Yeah, this is great. Dad, this burns. Shut up. Okay. Yeah, sort of a junkyard story. Stephen Frank, still kicking myself for trading off 65 GT convertible, fog light, manual disc car, and 69 sports roof 6-cylinder back in the 70s before even getting them home. Cars were easy to find. Yep, I'll bet. Brian B., also because of this practice, undersides were inconsistent. Yep. Ray Buckman, so while awaiting my next comment, I did some research. Apparently San Jose used red oxide. Any rust presented was done by the factory. Okay, thank you, Ray. Al Buckle, is there backstory on your mock? The backstory, from what I understand, what I was told, I don't know, I can go back 2 owners at this point. I could probably find out who, I guess the original owner, I don't know. But from what I was told by the person I bought it from, he bought it 4 years ago with the intent of fixing it up. He was going to paint it Calypso Coral, whatever that, I think is what it's called. He was going to paint it that color and give it to his wife. Now, this guy already he had 2 Corvettes, and he's got a 72 or 3. It's a Mach 1 Mustang, whatever it is. 351, I don't know what it is. It's like a Boss clone car. So he bought this car, and this guy had a restoration shop, and he said he didn't like to do sheet metal work or didn't do metal work. Apparently he did paint and all the other stuff. So he bought this 69 because it was in such good shape. The person he bought it from took it apart about 20 years before he got it. So it's been apart for about 25 years now. And the other guy took it apart because I guess he was trying to fix some very minor rust. And when I say minor, I mean minor. There's a few pinholes in the tail panel. There's a few pinholes in the window gutter for the back glass. And I can see where the drop panels are in the trunk. there's like 2 rust holes that are about that big. And from my understanding, the quarter panels probably had next to nothing as far as bad rust, but he cut out the quarters. And then I guess he lost interest in it. You know, things happened. He started getting sidetracked or whatever. And so the car just sat for like almost 20 years. And then this other guy bought it. So that's what I know of the car. Now, the car was a 351 2-barrel automatic. I think it had a 300 gear ratio in the rear end. And, you know, that's where it's at. And so what I'm going to do is take care of the quarter panels, use the dynacorn panels to make those right, patch the areas, the minor little rusty areas, just weld them or, you know, patch them in. And that's all. I mean, other than the doors need some work, and the original fenders need some work, but I do have new aftermarket doors and new aftermarket fenders. I'll see how those fit and where I go with that. But I'm just going to fix the minor rust on it and a few dents in the roof, and that's all it's going to need. It's really amazing the condition that it's in. It really is. So, good question, Al. Nick, old timers at the blast furnace used to clean their hands with liquor, as it's actually called, benzene. Yeah, they had issues later in life. Of course they did. Of course they did. Yeah. Ray Buckman, sorry, done by the dealers. Oh, talking about the paint done by the dealers instead of the factory. Okay. Yeah, no benzene, no thanks. Doyle, you're correct. Without a jig, like me on a cutlass repair, one section, left quarter, trunk pan, etc. Keep your dimensions close as you can. Measure and test fit, test fit, test fit. Yes, always. Shannon says, good to know, Nick. Yeah. Don, my dad did the same, only we used paint thinner. Yeah. Yeah, I could tell you, being at the junkyard, little junkyard story, I siphoned hundreds of gallons of gas out of cars. That was how we got most of the gas in our cars, I think. We'd end up with something sitting there, and of course it was all the leaded gas, so it lasted forever, or seemed to. But I also can tell you that I've had mouthfuls of gas many times. I've had gas in both my eyes probably at least twice that I know of. I've had spray paint in both my eyes. I've had model glue in one of my eyes. Yeah, good times. Good times. Terry Keithley, I have the means to have the paint heated before it leaves the gun. Okay. Stefan, can anyone provide an inner rocker to inner rocker measurement on 69 Mach 1? Thanks in advance. Well, I can, but not right at the moment. Not right at the moment. I could probably get you really close. If you want, send me an email. Okay. See if I have. Okay, here's my email at the bottom of the screen. If you want, send me an email with I can try to help you with the measurements for that sort of thing. So just send me an email with what you need. If you want to do a little sketch or something, or take a picture of the area and say, I need what I usually do is I take a measurement, like I'll put the end of the tape measure somewhere, take a picture of it for somebody, and then I'll stretch it out and show the other end of it so that you can see what the 2 contact points were. So I'll see what I can do to help you with that if you can send me an email. Don, 25 years apart, at least all the parts will be there. Let's hope. That's the thing, though. There was, several new parts. There's still stuff that needs to be replaced and rebuilt, obviously, but everything's in bags and tagged, which is pretty amazing to have all that. Brian, for your information, there is a 69 428 Cobra Jet complete, running when pulled, for sale in my area. $7,000. That's a great price if it is as advertised. That probably is a great price. Yeah. Yeah. Wonder what they put in instead. But that probably would be worth getting a hold of. Ray, some dealers would do more undercoat, which is why it's different on each car. Okay. Richard, when I worked in body shops, the guys were cleaning their hands with lacquer thinner. I will admit that I've had instances where I've sprayed some paint or been spraying something and had a gun failure or had a something leak on me, because I didn't have a glove on at the time. I was just trying to quickly spray something. And I've taken lacquer thinner and cleaned it off. I've done that. I try to avoid it as much as I possibly can. Because chemicals are no good for you. Roger, in the Air Force we used MEK or PD680 to wipe down F4s and clean our hands. Great stuff. Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. Dawn, my dad had me hold a bumper as he used a sledgehammer against a drift to straighten it, my ears ringing. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Quit crying. Yeah, I know the feeling. Isaac, hello all. Hope everyone's doing SWFL. Cold tonight with 53 right now. Yuck. Glad you're here, Isaac. Dougster Wolverine Garage. Have no fear, the Dougster is here. Okay. Glad you're here, Dougster. Stephen Franks. Barry, what is in lineup after the 69 coverage at your 69? And, well, I was talking about that earlier. I'm probably going to try to get the Camaro finished. I just want to get it done and get it out of here. It's sitting too long. It's basically it's money that I can use to build my car. So if I get the 69 put together, then I can sell it and invest that into the Mach 1 project. So I really need to be kind of proactive with that. Money's always an issue. We all know that. But that's where my mind is at this point. And then I have other people wanting me to build their cars, so I have to look at revenue from that as well as a possibility. So, but I want to get the Camaro done, and I wouldn't mind finishing up doing the 67 fastback conversion and getting all that done and then sell that car as well. Nick, I still use acetone to clean my hands sometimes. Yeah. Well, let me just tell you, anything with tone at the end of it, acetone, methyl ethyl ketone, anything with that at the end of it is really, really bad for you. Just so you know. I know you already know that, but I'm just letting you know as well. I have a friend who's a microbiologist, and he gives me grief about stuff, out here. And he's harped on me about the tone, acetone, methyl ethyl ketone, anything like that. He's like, don't. Just stay away from it. Al Buckle, I always enjoy hearing the backstories. My Mach 1 got parked in 75, didn't see daylight until 2014, almost rust-free Canadian car. That is rare, folks. I would say that would be rare. Yes. A rare rust-free Canadian car. Yeah. Almost rust-free. Oh, Isaac says Southwest Florida. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what that meant. Man, I still can't get rid of this. It's just enough to irritate me. And I'm trying. You take your vitamins and your whatever. Try to keep yourself healthy. So anyways, I was mentioning about the LVLP gun. I'm probably going to get one of those and give it a shot. See how it works. See if it's something I can incorporate. Because I end up with a lot of fumes, a lot of vapor in my paint area, and I don't really like to paint. I've said it before, and that's still true. I think the thing though is I learn from everything that I paint. So like when I did Jade, I made some mistakes, and I didn't get enough paint on the driver's door. and it was enough to make me go, okay, I'm starting over, which is what I did. So I learned from that one. I also, when I painted the Bronco, I made some mistakes. I learned from that one. And now, not that I want to have to learn these things, but as like Don was saying with his um, doing, learning to go, learning things from going to different places and getting jobs and learning those skills. That's kind of, I mean, I did know a good bit about painting simply because of the body shop. I did paint some there. I obviously did a ton of prep work on the cars. I did almost probably over 2/3 of the block sanding and getting everything shaped and ready to go. And so my background is pretty good with all that. But the variables that come into play, like I would like to go to the PPG paint school and really get some good input and training so that I can incorporate it. But I still kind of, just kind of stay on the backside. Like I don't look forward to trying to paint something. So, Brian B, always wear gloves, spoken like a true Californian, Barry. LOL, just kidding. Yeah, I know. Yeah, there's so much that we obviously all make poor choices a lot of times, and it could be just a matter of what we eat. Let's not go down that path. But stuff we eat, the stuff we drink. I saw the other day where somebody said, never, ever, ever drink soda. I agree with him. But I still will have the occasional soda. But he's like, whatever's in that, the chemicals that are in this stuff is just bad for you no matter what it is. And they're right. But we're all guilty of falling into these things. Like I'll eat half a dozen donuts and go, woohoo, that was great. I know better, but I can't stop myself. But I can stop myself from getting my hands in chemicals. That much I know. Lynn, what is the best way to touch up small nicks on a fairly new paint job? That's a tough question. I mean, part of that is a color, whatever the color may be. For the most part, you're limited to taking either a brush with the original color, if you have that, and just kind of dabbing it in there. I've even gone to the point, depending if it's let's say jade, if I had to touch something up with that, I might take some color and some clear coat and mix it together and just dab it in to try to get it to shine a little more. Other than that, you're looking at like the paint sticks, stuff like that they sell. There's color match paint you can buy. The dealership, I think, sells them, or parts stores sell them. But really, you're limited as to what you can do, because once it's nicked up, if it's base coat, clear coat, the alternative is to sand it, spray it, start over, pretty much. So that's about all I can offer on that one. Nick, gotta go. Have a good one, everyone. Oh, glad you're here, Nick. Appreciate your input. And Dougster, want to play with HVLP? I have old DeVilbiss siphon feeds. HVLP sounds killer for clear coat. Yes, HVLP is great for clear coat. I will say that. I got videos out there on all that stuff, and I have a gun that I bought earlier this year or late last year, I ended up using it for the Bronco project. It turned out fantastic. So pretty happy with all that. But I'm going to consider trying the LP gun, see how it works. Rusty, we had used trichloroethane to clean stuff in the Navy. Not good. No. No. Ray Buckman, Merry Christmas, Nick. Okay, Ray. Barry, have you considered using a mask for welding? I've heard the fumes are bad for you. I have not, to be honest. Generally, I try to keep my face out of the fumes. The helmet helps a lot, but I also at times will put on a low speed fan that's blowing sort of in my direction, so it'll push the fumes away from me as well. So that's about all I can say at this point. Dawn says, "Oh heck, my wife says I still make poor choices." Oh, yeah, I make plenty of poor choices. Dougster, I have a leather welding helmet with fresh filtered air unit that hooks to your belt. Okay, yeah, those are pretty handy. Doyle, don't overthink it. It's just paint. Don't work for me. I still can't decide if I want to attempt to paint mine. Yeah. Evan, I found a welding mask where my respirator fits nicely underneath. Of course, I've been welding to the galvanized rockers, but I'll probably continue using it regardless. Not a bad idea. Don, I prefer the chips. My dad preferred the measles look. Well, I could tell you, there's a story to my parents. I think my mom tells it more than anything. Is my dad back in the day, he would paint cars in the garage, and old Chryslers and whatever. He decided he wanted to change the color on a car, and he would just spray it, be done with it. But apparently there was something happened with a car. It was some sort of old Chrysler, I think, and it had chips or bubbles or something in the paint. Something happened that it messed up the paint, and so my oldest sister went in the house and got like 2 boxes of Band-Aids. She was probably 5 or 6 or 7, or I don't know. And she come out there and put Band-Aids on all of those spots on the car. So one of those funny stories that comes up every so often. Dave Tyson, I did brakes back in the 60s, used air to clean off dust. Yeah, I will still blow out brake drums and stuff, but you've probably seen I have that wand that's like 3 or 4 feet long. So I make sure I'm out of the way, and I make sure the wind is already carrying it away from me, and I'll blow out stuff. Ray Buckman says, heck, Don, we all do that. Isaac, yeah, old school, my dad would just say, go clean your hands with gasoline and lacquer thinner, too. Yeah, and quit crying, you baby. Al Buckle, the Garage Noise channel, has a few LVLP reviews you may find interesting. Okay. Dougster, I have permanently attached a light to the front of my welding helmet. I can't believe how handy it is. That is a great thing to do. I run into that a lot where I've got my head tucked in somewhere, and I'm like, where am I welding? I can't see it. That's a great idea. I need to incorporate that. I think Robert actually had provided me with a light that could be put on your stinger, on the whip, as they call it. I'm pretty sure he did. I haven't used it. Michael, I use the N95 mask under my welding helmet. Not a bad idea. And Terry, I'm waiting for someone to tell us that shoe fly pie and gobs are bad for us. They are definitely not. Shoe fly pie and gobs they're like the healthiest thing you can eat. I know that much. Evan, a light on the mask is a great idea. Yes. Dawn says, cry. I'll give you something to cry about. That sounds pretty accurate. That sounds pretty accurate. Yeah. And the other line was, of course, we had a junkyard growing up, and my brother and I had to work in the junkyard. And so they would, weekend would come around, and we'd be like, hey, Dad, I want to go out to eat, or I want to go to the movies, or can I have some money, kind of situation. And his response was always, well, you got supper, didn't you? that was the answer to that. It's like, you got supper, you should be happy. Okay, thanks, Dad. Robert, I forgot about that. I have mine taped to my MIG gun. It's the old flexible IKEA desk light. Yeah, I have to. It's on one of my welding carts, I think. I'll have to look and see if I can find it. Dave Britton checking in. Glad to hear Dave. We're getting pretty close to wrapping up because I can feel my throat's getting worse and worse. Ray Buck, I remember those days. Dad had great sayings like that. Yeah. You know, it's funny though. A lot of those things. Now I never I've never said something I would say like that to my kids. Like I'll give you something to cry about or anything like that. Um, and my kids they'll laugh at the idea that they would be doing something that was dumb and they were going to get hurt, right? And a lot of times I would try to not interfere, like go ahead and let them get hurt so they understand what they're doing. But I didn't want them doing it like right here in front of my garage. So my expression was, why don't you go find something else to hurt yourself with? Or go find somewhere else to hurt yourself. I don't want you to do it here. They still remember that, by the way. Doug says, earache my eye. How would you like a butt ache? Yeah. Yeah. Evan, okay, got to scoot. Cheers to everyone. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, like bathe in acetone. Yeah. Yeah, definitely don't do that. Dave Britton, my dad used to say, you have food on the table and a roof over your head. That is pay enough. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Pretty accurate. Isaac learned a lot how to do mechanics by holding a flashlight and getting yelled at. You know, it's funny, my kids will say that I did that to them too, but for the most part, they were never in the garage, so I couldn't even really do that. Isaac says, have a good night all. And Roger, my son, still remembers that line from Barry. Ray, hey Barry and all, have a great weekend. Looking forward to the next video. Good night, folks. Good night, Ray. Yeah, I'm going to call it a night too because I can feel it. It's just getting worse. Gotta have a good time. Dougster out. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to call it a night. So I'm going to do some more research on those LP guns and see if there's something that that I'm going to want to use. And obviously there's a little time left till I need to really do some of that. But there are some materials supplied by Charles that will be used for doing the spray and undercoating and seam sealing and all that stuff that needs to happen to this car as well. But that'll come later. As it is, I want to thank you all for being here. I will be back next Monday, but the following Monday there's some sort of holiday that I'm not going to be able to, I won't be out here doing this. So that we'll talk about that next week. But that'll be it for tonight. Again, thanks for being here, and until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.